All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Richard Hum, and I want to introduce you to COJO 121, an introduction to interpersonal communication. So I hope you all enjoyed our first activity, logging our communication patterns, and then thinking about what those might mean and how they shape our lives. I want to get started now with a little more formal introduction to the class, kind of review what it's about, go through the syllabus, and then give you a couple of resources to watch their YouTube videos and then think about in relation to your communication log. So let me share my screen here real quick and we'll get started. All right. So this, like I said, is an introduction to the COJO 121 interpersonal communication course. The purpose of the class is to understand the basic principles of interpersonal communication, and most importantly for us is how they're changing with the modern tools that we have to use for communicating. Um, and you know, obviously this semester is quite interesting with COVID and the much greater reliance that we're using on our distance communication tools to stay connected. So that's kind of an exciting part of the semester for us. And then after we get, a better understanding of these tools and how they impact modern communication, it's going to be really important to us that we apply that information and use it in our everyday lives, whatever part, well, all parts of our lives. So it's really important in this class to apply what we're learning because, let's face it, we do communicate every day. All right. So the basic strategy that we're going to use in this course is, like I said, because we're communicating all the time, is to first observe how we're communicating, which you've already done, right, with the communication log. Then we're going to reflect on what we've observed. And again, you've already done that with the videos that you sent in. And then we're going to add a little content knowledge that's specific to communication. And that's some of those videos today that I'll share at the end here. And then we're going to reevaluate and look at what we look at our initial observations and see how, critically reflecting on those observations, adding in some content knowledge, and see how that reshapes our understanding of what's going on. To do that, we're going to use a couple learning platforms. Blackboard, like you've already noticed, I'll use extensively for course announcements, but most of the real work is going to happen in Google Classroom. Okay? And generally speaking, what will happen is that every Tuesday, I'll push out a lecture video, kind of like this one. I'm going to try to keep them, 5 to 10 minutes. There'll be an activity, 1 or 2 activities a week that you do with some resources, some content knowledge resources in addition to the lectures. All righty, moving along here. So assignments in the class, these are the assignments that we have that get graded. They'll be, uh, let's see, well, they'll be just distributed throughout the class in let me back up just a minute. The class over the course of the semester is really broken up into 3 sections. Weeks 1 through 3, the introduction activities, that's kind of what we're in right now. Then weeks 4 to 9, where we'll be looking at different communication platforms in kind of isolation and in detail. So we'll spend some time looking at YouTube as an example, or Facebook as an example, or Snapchat, or face-to-face. And so we'll look at these different platforms in detail individually. Then in the final weeks, 10 through 15, we'll combine that exploration, platform exploration, into context explorations and looking how we build our use of all these different tools together in networks or communication landscapes, as I've kind of used already in our first activity, to get through life, through different contexts of life, work, relationships, family. There's a whole host of them. So that's kind of how it breaks out into these 3 parts of the semester. And then each of the assignments will occur in different parts of them, right? So the introduction activities, we really only have the communication log, which all of you have completed, I think, at this point, and then the personal communication network activity, which I'll put out later this week, but it won't be due until the end of the, not this Monday, but the following Monday. There'll be an announcement on that in a minute, shortly this evening. Then the platform and context activities, there'll be a quiz basically each week along those lines. And then you'll be asked, like the communication log earlier, you'll be asked to observe different platforms and the types of communication that occur on them. Not necessarily your behaviors on those platforms, but others, others. Maybe yours. If you're using that platform normally, then we'll look at yours as well, but it'll be a little more flexible. Um, and then we'll have class discussions around those platforms. Let's see. The the so those three overview quizzes, observational logs, and class discussions happen for the platform and context activities. The primary activities, or primary graded elements of the class are 3 speeches. So the video that you did as part of the communication log is not one of those speeches. Is not one of those speeches. That's just a little throw in there for me to kind of get a handle on how each of you, your comfort level with videography and um, uh, uploading videos, et cetera, that kind of thing. And there'll be a lot of those. This is a public speaking class, so there's going to be a lot of short, brief, little um, uh, I hesitate to truly call them speeches, but places where you have to speak for us. um, but there are 3 main speeches that are each worth 150 points. Those are critical. You'll give your speech. They'll be on different platforms, so they won't all be through one method. Um, and there'll be a peer review process for that, for you to get feedback back on your own speech, but also for you to practice giving feedback and being a good listener. So those 3 things are critical graded components for the class. And then the final one is a transcription activity that really, where you're asked to really break down the communicative processes going on in a single conversation. And we'll work on how we define what a conversation is as the semester goes on, because it's clearly different, say, face-to-face than on Facebook. Yeah. Okay, so this is the schedule again. First 3 weeks are sort of those introductory activities. The next 5 weeks, I guess that is, are looking at the platform specifically. And then the last 5 weeks are looking at the different contexts. Okay. All right, that's kind of a basic overview of the class. I hope you enjoy it. I find that communication is fascinating because it's how we interact with the external world. Um, it is the thing that shapes the way we see and understand everything external to ourselves, and then how we relate those external experiences to shape our internal worldview. So it's very critical to everything we do in life. So I hope you enjoy learning more about it this semester, and look forward to talking to you all later.